Hi everyone. It's been a while since I've showed me doing something, so I want to share attaching these white brackets to the rectangle you're looking at. And I'll go into more details as the video goes along. What I have done is filmed myself adding 3 of the brackets. It's for repetition. This is for people who need to either make shelves or are doing some type of furniture creation or modification and needing the practical aspect of doing it. I am not fast forwarding this video, and I'm going to leave in the clumsy moments as well so you can see real life how this goes. What you've just looked at is me measuring where the top left corner is supposed to be. These brackets, these particular ones, take a number 8 screw, or at least that's what it's designed for. Because I'm working in a very tight space, I wanted to buy hex head bolts. The type of, hex head screws. These are the types of screws that look like a stop sign. It will be easier to work with in tight spaces. So you've seen me measure where the top corner is aiming to be. I've got my carpenter square out, and the biggest challenge with these is getting it started. Now I want to be honest with you. I've made this harder for myself in 2 ways. The first is that Home Depot didn't have hex head wood screws in the size that I needed, number 8s. But the holes fit number 10 screws. So there's 0 tolerance of error. Wherever I start the screw, that's where the bracket's going. I'm not going to be able to do any fine-tune adjustments once it's tightened. That's one of the trade-offs. The second, I'm actually using metal screws. There are some hex head screws that are suitable for both metal and wood. These aren't them. So based on the threads, I needed to use a longer screw, which also means it's harder getting started because of how the point is on these particular screws. And I needed it to be a little bit deeper. So you'll see I'm using a ratcheting stubby screwdriver to get it started. And then I move on to my 8mm socket with the ratchet to finish tightening it down and then square it up with the carpenter square. It's fiddly work, it's tricky work, and between the lower edge and the upper edge, if you recall the original picture, there's only 6.5 inches of space. So the stubby screwdriver and working with my ratchet is what made sense. But you'll see here with an 8mm hex head, it's sufficiently challenging, and the ratchet slips off, and it's just what happens when you're doing with this kind of thing. The green painter's tape is because I'm working on a finished surface, and it gives me a temporary area to mark and make it nice for the finished product. And you'll see here where I'm trying to square it up. On the sides of this is going to be plexiglass. It's going to become a vent hood, if you know what I'm talking about. Similar in idea to what's over most ranges for cooking. This is particularly for my laser engraver, and I wanted to make it nice because I'm planning on live streaming when the laser's running. So you'll see that I'm taking my time and squaring it up because there is 0 tolerance for adjustments once I start the second screw in. And I chose longer ones because the threads on the metal screws aren't as aggressive as woodworking screws. I need to make sure it's anchored in there and won't get pulled out inadvertently. We're moving on to the second view now, and I know my hands are partly in the way. I'm trying to be as transparent as possible, and that's why I'm giving you 3 views of me doing this. So what you'll see that I'm trying to do is support the vent hood from underneath while I really push down and get what is a metal screw started in wood. It's tricky to get going, but once it's grabbed, you're good. What I've bought there, that little screwdriver when it comes into view, it's a stubby screwdriver with a ratcheting feature. I bought it from the electrical department of my local Home Depot. It's a Klein tool, if that means anything to you, but the electrical department, or searching for a stubby screwdriver is what you would do. And you can set the ratcheting mode on that particular one for either going in or coming out. I went back to double check it was square before I went all the way down, because once I get more than about a 1/4 inch in, I don't want to be wrecking the wood from grabbing onto the metal screw and having to back it out. This is really a one-shot deal. There really is no forgiveness. I do have the practical experience to handle it, but it is what it is. So the thumb is because I'm trying to keep it centered, and it's just an awkward angle to work at, and trying to make it visible for the camera for as much as is practical. Keep in mind, once it's grabbed, it does work. This stubby screwdriver does have the attachments for the slot fit as well as Phillips. There are other attachments available that could be ordered, and if you buy a different set, it comes with the Robertson, that's the square ones, and the Phillips, but not the slotted. So this is the third example, and I do want to go through this one more time. So I've measured where the corner is where this goes. If you're doing this and the bracket is tight to the edge, you must drill a pilot hole. You will cause the wood to splinter, and then you're looking at using putty, wood putty, to make a faux surface and trying to repair it, or carpenter's glue and repairing it. I'm working on a finished piece here, and if it did splinter on me, I'd be going backwards about 4 steps, but I could recover. I do have the soft skills to deal with it. So I'm supporting the frame from below to get it started, and then once it's grabbed in, it's good. It's extremely important to be mindful of where you want the position of these to go. I'm using these in pairs, the left side and the right side. I need those holes on the top where the plexiglass will bolt to this to be in alignment with each other. So there's a lot to think about. It's not insurmountable, and this is one of those situations where if you haven't done it before, it would be worth your while doing a mock-up of a practice. You could even do it into cardboard, like going to your grocery store and buying a cardboard box just to practice on. It won't be near as hard, but it'll help you with the measurements and having a dry run that's not prohibitively expensive for a dry run. What I happened to use for my dry run was off camera. I had some plywood there, and I just wanted to get used to the little stubby screwdriver first. With these screws, it's really easy to make it go in on an angle, like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. You don't want to do that particularly, and you want to check at about the 1/4 inch mark, and there's 1/4 inch deep, and there's still a little bit of room that the wood will let you adjust it, but you have to be gentle or you'll just rip it out and you're creating drama for yourself in trying to recover it. If it was me and that did happen, I would personally mix up some sawdust and white glue and stuff it in the hole and then finish screwing it in, and the glue will dry after the fact, and it would be good enough as long as the screw is long, and it would work in a practical sense. I can't understate the value of that carpenter square. That one happens to be aluminum. I own two of them. One of them stays beside my desk at all times, and the other one's with my table saw and some woodworking tools in my shed. Extremely handy tool. There are plastic versions. I happen to have ordered this one from China, and then I bought a second version of it on the Walmart website, and it shipped from China. It was sort of one of their online vendors. I have a sense of what's tight and the resistance I want to go. If you push too hard, you can actually splinter the wood again. It's one of those booby traps with this type of woodworking. And honestly, it's a learned skill, and I still every now and then blow it, but it's one of those things that you get better with practice. I want to thank you for watching me, and I love this type of thing. I really do enjoy it. I hope you've learned a tip or two while doing it. If you want to see me doing something else on here, I'm certainly open to ideas. It has to be within my physical limits, but speak up. I am open to ideas. Thanks for joining me today. Have a wonderful day. Bye for now.